6 o'clock, colleagues, so Cabinet starts. So welcome to Cabinet for Monday 16th of October. We'll go through items as normal. So item 1 is apologies for absence, and we've had no apologies received. Item 2 is urgent business. There are no items of urgent business. Item 3 is declarations of interest. So does any member have any interest to declare in any matter of the agenda today? No? Brilliant. Item 4 is public question time. We've received one question tonight from Lewis Quigg regarding PFE. So I'll read out the question and then Councillor Elaine Taylor will respond. So the question is, there have been several concerns raised already about the preliminary ecological appraisal for the Oldham sites and the places for everyone plan. In recent correspondence, the Leader of the Council advised that the preliminary ecological appraisal was carried out in accordance with the broad principles of the Chartered Institute of Ecology and Environmental Management Guidelines. Under the CIEEM guidelines, a preliminary ecological appraisal is broadly broken down into 3 phases. 1. An initial desktop survey is carried out. 2. Appropriate field surveys informed by the desktop survey. And 3. A report that details the findings from the desktop and field surveys, which identifies the priority habitats present. It records the likely presence of protected and priority species and includes an evaluation of the potential impacts and necessary interventions. In accordance with the CIEEM guidelines, the desktop survey recommended up to 7 types of field survey for the site visit phase. Therefore, is the Council able to tell us which of the recommended field surveys were carried out for the preliminary ecological appraisal and provide any protected or priority species or habitats that were identified as present by the field surveys? Also, whilst the forthcoming consultation is on the proposed modifications only, several of the modifications to policies affecting the Oldham sites relate to ecology, and therefore the soundness of the modifications can only be considered within the context of up-to-date and accurate ecological assessments. Only the desktop survey was made available as part of the Places for Everyone plan evidence base. So will the Council commit to making the field survey reports available to facilitate Council and public scrutiny of the site allocation modifications? So, technical is that, Councillor Taylor, but are you happy to respond?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so I agree. This is quite a technical question, as is often the case with planning. So I am conscious that we might have members of the public watching, so I will make my response as non-technical as possible. So in relation to Mr Quigg's question, the proposed modifications to Oldham site allocation policies in the Places for Everyone, or PFE plan, that are related to ecology have been proposed simply to ensure consistency across all the PFE site allocation policies and to avoid duplication of those policies. The modifications referred to amend or remove the ecology criteria in the allocation policies where this would be a duplication of policy. The modifications are not a result of concerns raised about the ecological evidence behind the proposed allocations. Further to discussions at the examination hearings, GMCA submitted a note explaining the ecology evidence used to inform the choice of allocations and contents of their respective policies. This note can be found on the PFE examination website. I would emphasise, though, in relation to that it is considered that the ecological evidence published on the GMCA website represents relevant, up-to-date, adequate and proportionate evidence on ecology. In terms of the inspectors and their assessment of the plan, they have considered the ecological evidence prepared to support the PFE allocation and in doing so have concluded that the proposed modification is necessary to make the plan sound. Therefore, the issue of soundness being addressed by the modifications is not one related to the evidence, but whether the specific criteria previously proposed in allocation policies is necessary. It's also important to note that the full extent and distribution of priority habitats and the presence of protected and priority species can only be established by detailed species surveys, which are beyond the scope of the high-level preliminary ecological appraisals considered necessary and proportionate for such a plan as Places for Everyone. Fully comprehensive surveys would be required to inform full planning applications. I would add that the Greater Manchester Ecology Unit have identified the likely presence of priority habitat on some sites, but they do not consider these to be relevant in terms of being excluded from the site allocation. Therefore, proposals for mitigation and compensation measures for development can only be made when detailed development proposals come forward, not at the allocation stage, when details of site layout, quantum, scale and type of development is unknown. Therefore, given that the proposed modifications are not related to the ecological evidence, the field survey reports are not needed for the consultation on the modifications. And therefore, I think the point is that I think there's probably been a little bit of misunderstanding about what is required and the evidence that's required as part of these modifications. I appreciate that technical answer, it might be difficult to digest when it's read out in that way. So I would encourage people to go onto the PFE examination website and to maybe read that in a little bit more detail. But hopefully that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. So item 5 is minutes. So do Cabinet agree the minutes of the Cabinet meeting held on the 18th of September 2023 and the special Cabinet meeting held on the 2nd of October 2023? Brilliant. Item 6, do we always, do we have to move and second that, Paul? The minutes? Yes, so can somebody move? Yep. All right, brilliant, thank you. So item 6 is rubric air gap backup solution. Councillor Jabbar.
Thank you, Chair. So this is essentially a piece of IT tool that we need to make sure that our modern data is correctly protected. We've been using for a number of years the ComVault system, hardware and software, which has served us really well. But given that we've got a modern IT landscape and we need to have the cutting edge equipment to make sure our data is protected, and if we need to restore it, then what we're suggesting is that we need a new system. And this report explains that we've done procurement and we're suggesting that we move over to this rubric air gap backup solution. At the moment, they are purported to be the cutting edge company doing this. Something like 50 councils across the council are using them, including Manchester City Council. So the report before you, Chair, is asking for £682,000 to secure this particular contract. It's quite a technical thing, but the report is in simple terms saying that we've got a system now which is out of date. We want a new system, and the new system is going to cost us £682,000. I'm happy to answer any questions colleagues have, but also the lead senior officer is side on this, so together we'll happy to answer any questions people have got.
Thank you, Councillor Jabbar. Does any member wish to speak? No? Oh, sorry, go on, Councillor Taylor.
Just a comment, really. I think given some of the cyber attacks that we've seen recently, I think this is quite timely, and I think it will be money well spent. I think it is quite a scary prospect to think that all of our systems will go down and that all of that data would be out in the public domain. So it's a very worthwhile report, fully support.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. It's a very important point. Just to let you know that on a daily basis, we get 10,000 attacks on our system. But I'm very pleased to say that our IT protection system is up to date. So in the recent times, we've seen Manchester University, we've seen Camden have attacks, and they've lost lots of data, and they're actually not able to provide the day-to-day services to their customers. So it's really important. I want to take this opportunity to thank colleagues in IT and side for the work they're doing in this space, because, you know, it's a back office function, isn't it? You don't want to know what's happening, but I can assure you as a lead member and that the work that we're doing is cutting edge, and I can give you the reassurance that we've got all the known safety measures in place to protect our IT systems and hopefully then that will continue. It will mean that all the services can continue with delivering the services that our resident needs. So thank you for bringing that point out. Sometimes I get accused of saying too much in meetings, but because you raised it, I didn't want to miss the opportunity. It is an extremely 10,000 attacks daily on our systems. And obviously, we hold lots of financial information, lots of personal information about many of our customers, thousands of our customers. So we take it extremely seriously. And I want to reiterate the work our officers do in this area. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Jabbar. Councillor Taylor did say it was a comment, but obviously I wouldn't say you're the cabinet member that doesn't miss on an opportunity to speak. But no, it is a very serious point, and it was good for Councillor Taylor to raise it and for you to give us a reassurance. Thank you for that. And I think we're coming back to this item again, and item 9 on the agenda. Yeah. Okay, so item 7 is my report, so it's Creating a Better Place, and it's just an update. People will know that the Creating a Better Place programme is our plan to build a better Oldham Town Centre. It's also about creating more homes, more shops, more cafes, more restaurants, more job opportunities for Oldhamers, and more chances actually for Oldhamers to spend their time and, most importantly, money right here in Oldham. So following on from the performance review discussions at a scrutiny committee a couple of weeks ago, there was a request for more regular updates on progress being formally reported to Cabinet, which I welcome. I think it's a good way for us to highlight what we're doing, but also to be open and transparent as well. Therefore, this update report is the first of what will be twice yearly reports, and provides an update on the strategic progress of the Council's Creating a Better Place regeneration programme. And Cabinet members are in the main asked to note and recognise the scale of external funding opportunities that we've secured, the additional benefits that have already been created for Oldham's local residents, and those further opportunities to come, and the associated social value generated to create a better place for all of our communities. I think that's really important. You'll also see from the report that the programme remains on track to deliver new homes, create jobs, and deliver against, Councillor Jabbar, you'll be delighted to know, our Green New Deal commitments, ensuring Oldham is a great place to live, work and visit, with lots of family-friendly and accessible places to go to as well. It also reflects on the national economic impact on various aspects of project delivery, and it recognises the associated impact on international trade, given conflicts still that are taking place in the world. These nationally significant factors are outside of the Council's control, obviously, but with dedicated project management in place and discussions at a scrutiny committee about the programme pressures, Cabinet are asked to note and acknowledge that many of the challenges have already been absorbed within the contingency allowances. I think it's also really important to address and acknowledge that Liz Truss's disastrous time as Prime Minister continues to have a massive impact on inflation. And with the government unable to bring it under control, the reality is that the Council isn't able to fully absorb all of these pressures, and therefore to ensure project completion, Cabinet are asked to approve reviewing the capital programme to ensure value for money and the best use of public funds, while reprofiling available capital funds where applicable to ensure key priorities are completed. Further details in relation to the rise in material costs, inflation and labour market challenges, together with commercial and contractual aspects of the projects, are to be noted in Part B of this report. So can I ask members to just note the recommendations from this report, and we will pick up we consider in item 10. Okay, so does any member wish to speak? Councillor Jabbar.
Thank you, Chair. I think this highlights the fantastic transformational work that's going on right across the borough. This report highlights that, and I'm so glad that's in here in the format it is. So thanks to the officers who've done this. But I did wanted to pick up on the Green Deal issue that you raised. So our ambition as a town, we want to be the greenest borough in Greater Manchester. And this report, if you read this report, you will see, right, that we are doing many things which will respond to that ambition. And, you know, I thanked officers earlier, Chair, when I spoke. But truly, without our officers completely committed with this and securing the external funding for nearly all of the green projects, we won't be where we are. So I'd like to take this opportunity, Chair, again, to thank Emma and her team for the work they do to attract external funding from the Towns Fund, from the Levelling Up bids, from the Decarbonisation Fund, Public Sector Decarbonisation Fund to bring the resources to be able to do this. But I think, Chair, you know, if anybody reads this report, they will be heartened by what this administration is doing. And I think we should take this report to our wards and talk to our neighbours and whoever else, just to say that Oldham is working hard to transform this borough. And I'm so pleased that you've been able to bring this report to Cabinet. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Jabbar. So the rest of this report, unless any other member wishes to speak, no? The rest of this report will be considered again, as I said, on item 10 on the agenda. So item 8 is exclusion of the press and public. So would somebody like to move? Somebody like to second? Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Thank you. So exclusion of the press and public.